Redundant. There are words that describe what happened to you, and there are words that feel like they are describing you. This one does both. That is the injury, and almost nobody names it. Maybe it started with a meeting invitation that had a name from HR on it, a phrase like, your role is at risk, consultation period, that everyone, including you, knew was a countdown. Then a last day that arrived quietly with a box and a badge that stopped working. Here is what this video is for. By the end of it, you will have an accurate name for what was actually taken from you. Because it was never just the job, and the wrong name is costing you more than the redundancy did. You will understand why this hurts more than the advice around you admits. And you will have the first move that actually helps, which is not the one the advice industry keeps handing you. Let me take you to the morning nobody warns you about. Not the day it happened, the first Tuesday after. The alarm goes off at the old time because your hand set it out of habit. And for 2 full seconds, everything is normal. Then it is not. There is nowhere to be at 9. The trains will run without you. Somewhere across town, a meeting you would have been in starts on time and the room does not pause. You made coffee at the hour you used to be answering emails, and the quiet in the house has a strange texture, like a weekend that has forgotten how to end. By 10, you have checked your phone 11 times, not for jobs, for the old life. Some part of you is still waiting to be needed by it. If you know that morning, this video was made for you. And if you have never lived it, stay, because someone near you has or will, and almost everything our culture tells them about it is subtly, expensively wrong. Now, before anything else, let me say the practical thing plainly, because videos like this too often float above it. The money fear is real. The mortgage does not care about your becoming. Notice periods, settlement figures, the maths of how many months you have. The layer is real, it is urgent, and if it is where you are tonight, handle that layer first and never let anyone make you feel shallow for it. But here is what I have learned. There is a second layer underneath the money, and it is the one that decides how the next year actually goes. The practical layer gets spreadsheets, advisors, and everyone's advice. The layer underneath gets nothing, not even a name. This video is about that layer. So let us make the inventory nobody makes. What did the redundancy actually take? The salary, obviously, that one has a number, so everyone can see it, but keep counting. It took the structure of your days, the skeleton your whole week hung on. It took the people who witnessed your competence, the colleagues who knew without you saying it what you could do because they had watched you do it for years. It took your answer to the most common question in adult life. So what do you do? It took a future, not the abstract one, the specific one you had been quietly building in that place. The project next quarter, the role you were 2 years from, the retirement plan with that pension in it. Income is what the redundancy took on paper. Architecture is what it took in practice. And you cannot grieve properly for something you have not itemized, which is why so many people in your position feel worse than the facts seem to justify, and then feel ashamed of feeling worse. You are not overreacting, you are undercounting. Now, the word itself, because the word is doing damage. Redundant has a technical meaning. It means a role is no longer required by a structure. It is a statement about a spreadsheet. But English does something cruel here. The word does not stay on the roll. It migrates. It travels from the job description to the person who held it. And it does its migrating at 3 in the morning. The role was surplus, becomes I am surplus. The position was eliminated, becomes I was eliminated. So let me put the two sentences side by side because the entire recovery lives in the gap between them. You were made redundant. You did not become redundant. The first is an event that happened to a role you held. The second is a verdict, and nobody issued it. Not the spreadsheet, not the consultation letter, not the person who read the script at you in that meeting. The only place that verdict exists is in the migration of a word, and a migration can be reversed. Here is the deeper mechanics, and I will be honest about where I stand while I say it. I have walked out of professional rooms that shaped me more than once, but I chose my doors. Yours was chosen for you. And that difference is the whole difference. So I am not going to pretend our experiences are the same. What I know comes from years of sitting with people in the weeks after doors were closed on them and from mapping what happens next. What happens is this. Over years, a workplace does not just employ you. It quietly co-builds you. Your professional self, the confident one who ran meetings and knew where everything was. That self was assembled inside that room, held up by its routines and its people. So when the room closes, it does not just take the room, it takes the scaffolding. The skills survive completely intact. And this matters, so hear it. Everything you could do on your last day, you can still do this morning. What takes the hit is not the capability. It is the self that deploys the capability, the confidence layer, the part that walks into an interview already believing it belongs there. And then there is the strangest wound of all, the one that almost nobody admits out loud, the invisibility. On Thursday, you were somebody there, the place where you were known best, where your competence had witnesses. And by Friday, the building works exactly as before. Your login is gone, and the room holds no record that you were ever in it. That silence, that sudden unwitnessing is a real injury. You are not imagining it. Which is why the hardest part of most people's week is not the job boards, it is the telling, rehearsing the sentence for your partner, finding a version for your parents that will not frighten them. The party question, so what do you do? Arriving like a spotlight. The LinkedIn announcement, you have drafted 4 times and posted 0 times because publishing it makes it real in front of everyone who knew the old you. And underneath the telling, the quiet arithmetic, the age maths. Who hires at this stage? Whether the market wants what you are. Do you hear what has happened in that sentence? A decision made about a role in a budget by people who mostly never saw your work up close has been converted into a referendum on who you are worth. That conversion is the real emergency of these weeks, not the vacancy count, the verdict you are quietly signing on the structure's behalf. So refuse to sign it and put the accurate name on these weeks instead, because there is one, and it is not failure, and it is not weakness. It is grief. You lost structure, witnesses, an answer, and a future in one afternoon. Of course, it is grief. You are not falling apart. You are bereaved of an architecture. And grief has one rule that decides everything downstream. Grief that gets named moves through. Grief that gets refused does not leave. It just goes underground and starts writing your cover letters. It shows up as applications sent with no belief in them. Interviews walked into pre-apologizing the flatness recruiters can hear on the phone and cannot name. Half the job search advice in the world fails for this exact reason. It is speaking to the CV, and the CV was never the wounded party. If someone came to mind while you have been watching, someone in their own first Tuesday, send them this and subscribe, because this channel exists for exactly these unmapped seasons, the ones everyone goes through and nobody hands you a map for. Now the turn. If the wound is in the confidence layer, then the rebuild starts there too, before the CV, before the scattergun applications. Two things restore that layer, and neither is a course. The first is articulation, your value out loud as evidence. 3 specific stories from your career where you changed an outcome, told to another human being until you are fluent in them again. Fluency in your own value is a skill. It atrophies in silence. And these weeks are very silent. It rebuilds with repetition. The second is witnesses. The injury was unwitnessing, so the repair cannot happen alone. Do not run this season in secret. And here is the first move. This week, one conversation, tell one person the true version, not the brave version you have been performing, the true one. And then ask them a single question. What did you watch me do well? Then be quiet and let them answer. That conversation does more for the layer that actually decides your next role than 50 applications sent from the basement. Now, let me tell you about a year from now, and I want you to hear this at the speed I am saying it. A year from now, you are somewhere. That is not optimism. It is arithmetic. The weeks are going to pass. Either way, they always do. The only live question is what travels through them with you. And somewhere out there right now is a team that has not met you yet. A room that has a gap in it, shaped like what you do. When you walk in, they will know nothing about the room that's closed. They will not see the box or the badge or the first Tuesday. They will only ever meet the person who walked out of all of it, which means the question of these weeks was never really about them at all. It is about who arrives. The advice industry will tell you to update the CV, work your network, and stay positive. None of that is wrong. It is just aimed at the wrong layer, and nobody hands you a map for the layer that actually decides the outcome. So I built one. I call it the 4 rooms. The room you built, the locked door, the corridor, the room you are building. And I will be straight with you about where you are on it. You are in a room you did not choose to leave. The door was closed from the other side. But here is what I have learned mapping this territory. The corridor is the same corridor whether you walked out or the door is shut behind you. What changes is the first step. When you leave by choice, the first work is deciding. When the leaving was done to you, the first work is naming what was taken, which is exactly what you and I have spent this video doing. You have already started. So once more, the two sentences, and this time, say the second one with me. You were made redundant. You did not become redundant. Tell me in the comments, and I read every single one. What did the room's closing take from you that nobody around you has acknowledged? Name it here. That is not a small thing to do. Naming it is the actual work. And this comment section is a witnessed place. Subscribe if this found you where you are. This channel maps the seasons nobody prepares you for. And there is a video waiting below on why you cannot find your way forward until you know where you actually are. That one is the natural step from here.